I'm Christine Stavropoulos.
Κι εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της ομογένειας.
A podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.
Welcome back to another episode of the Greek Podyssey.
Ladies first. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Greek Podyssey.
We've got a topic that everybody can relate. Well, I think it never changes, no matter how many generations pass. The Greek mother and mother-in-law.
I'm leaning more to mother-in-law. I think it's more tricky. It's a supernatural force. Is it a legend? Is it a myth?
We'll start with the mother because the mother eventually does become the mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So those traits carry to her next victim of being a mother.
That's a nice connection, actually. Yes.
The mother.
Yes.
So our Greek mothers, from the moment we're born, she's had our life mapped out for her.
Okay.
Certain expectations of how you're going to be. They're a helicopter mother, and she will try to embed herself in every element of your life, to the point where when you're making decisions or doing something, you think, oh, what's my mother going to say? Oh, what's my mother going to think? And you grow up, and when you're growing up, it's like, I'm not going to be like my mother when I have kids. And lo and behold, you become your mother.
You as a girl.
Yes.
Yeah, from your perspective. Yes. No, that's true. That's true. And it's mothers that have very strong opinion. The Greek mothers. Okay?
Yes.
So the Greek mothers have a very strong opinion. As you said, they map your life from the first seconds of your life and try to guide you and shape you.
Mold you, yes.
Mold you, shape you in these guidelines of hers. But it's the two different aspects, two sides, I think, for the mothers. The one is the Greek mothers are very caring.
And cunning.
Yes.
They're cunning. They like to make the father feel like he's in control and he's the decision maker. But subliminally, she's the one that rules the roost.
Do you remember my big Greek fat wedding?
My big fat Greek wedding. We always come to that because it's iconic.
Where they say that the father is the head of the family, and Tule's mother said, yes, but mother is the neck. It turns the head wherever she wants.
Exactly. You know why? Because we women are emotional beings. So we know how to control a situation using emotion, using guilt, using praise, using compliments, bringing you down, lifting you up. You know, we've got it all covered.
I remember once my mom said to me, okay, tell me what Eleni did. I said, no, I'm not a snitch. I'm not going to say, that's not my style. And she goes, I'll take you to the theater. You're going to see Vutsa at the theater if you told me. And I did. And my sister, laughing next to me, and said, don't believe she doesn't have the money to take you to the theater.
Good on you, though, for not being...
No, I was supporting my sister very much indeed.
You're probably the brother I wish I had, because I don't know.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Oh, that could be nice. That could be lovely. Yeah. So there are two sides of the mother. The one is the mother, the caring mother, the one that always makes sure that you carry on your blazer with you or your jacket. You're always wearing your skirt, even if it's 25 degrees outside.
You know why I'm laughing?
Why?
My kids have never let me forget this. They were, I think, 11, 12, and 14. And we were going to the zoo. And I said, you need to take a coat with a heavy jacket because it's very exposed there. It's out on the harbour, on the heads. And they said, oh, but Mum, we're hot. I go, no, you've got to take a coat with you. And they said we ended up just carrying that coat because Mum has this mania. Take a jacket, wear a coat. When I'd put them to bed, I'd get the blanket and I'd tuck it in under them. And to this day, I always get messages in the group from the kids saying, make sure you pack a jacket. Like some of these things are just generational. I don't know whether it's all mothers, but I know it's predominantly Greek mothers.
There are Greek mothers, and it's also the generation. It is a generational thing. And I remember, okay, my mom still calls me the little one, or mikros. I'm 55 years old, and she still calls me like that.
I relate because my son's 34 and I call him Bubby.
Baby?
Bubby mo.
From
Bubby
baby?
mo.
From baby?
From baby.
Like baby,
My Bubby.
Bubby
My
mo,
Bubby
yeah,
is
yeah.
still my Bubby.
And I remember when I used to work with a Greek singer back in Greece, and we had some concerts in Thessaloniki. And I said, okay, ma'am, it will be for 40 days. I'll stay with you. I'm not going to the hotel. I'll stay with you. And she goes, all right. And one day I was late because after work, we went to the clubs. You know how clubs in Greece is? We finished by 10 o'clock in the morning. So I was home late. I find on the table where the telephone is, the old telephone book, you know, the old ones with A, B, C, D,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
ones. And it was opened in one of my friends from kindergarten number, Peter, and I called him to see if we were together because I was late. And my phone, my battery was dead. She couldn't contact me. She was worried about me. I said, what you did? And she said that I tried to call a few friends of yours. Yeah.
You had a battery. You had a mobile.
Yes.
See, I grew up in the generation.
No, I was 40.
Oh,
Come on.
You were 40?
It was 15 years ago. I was 40.
All right. I thought you were a kid. Okay.
No. I was working with, I told you, I was living in Athens. I said, what you did? And she goes, I just tried a few friends of yours. Mom, this is my friends from primary school. Kindergarten, primary school, we didn't talk each other. Like, what do you ended up having any information? No, most of the numbers have been changed. It was someone else. And I said, okay, now you know, you learn your lesson.
And now let's have a break and go to our legal segment with Natasha Karamihu. Please note, the content of this podcast is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and should not be relied upon for making decisions. Always consult a qualified professional for advice tailored to your situation.
Good evening from Greece. This is Natasha Karamihu, solicitor in Athens and legal advisor to the Greek Podyssey. Today, I will try to elaborate on a subject that many of you are already aware of and has spread confusion and doubts due to the recent law changes. What's new on the inheritance and wills field in Greece? Let me start by explaining the wills era under the current Greek law. The succession by will gives the testator the right to determine the persons he or she wishes to inherit him or her. The civil code provides for three types of wills: the private will, the public will, and the secret will. The private will is written in full by the testator's hand, dated and signed by him or her. A public will is drawn up by a declaration of the testator's last will and testament before a notary public with witnesses present. For the drawing up of a secret will, the testator shall, in the presence of witnesses, hand over to the notary public a document stating orally that this document contains his or her last will and testament. A renunciation of will action is also predicted and has to be made within 4 months since the declaration of the will by the court. If no renunciation action has taken place within 4 months from the court declaration of the will, then the heirs are deemed to have made an implicit acceptance of the inheritance made to them through the will. What we need to keep in mind is that the law regarding the declaration of will has changed and wills are going digital since the registry for unpublished wills is coming. Were they changes necessary? Inheritance law is being adapted to modern conditions, aiming at limiting the cases of inherited property that becomes devalued by being disposed of or left undistributed or end up being transferred to the state. In the registry, all wills, handwritten, secret, or public, will be published without revealing their content, respecting all the necessary guarantees of the secrecy. Private wills will be deposited at the notary public by the testator himself and not through a third party. What do we expect from these law modifications? First of all, it enables the easy check nationwide of whether or not a will has been filed at a notary or consulate, while providing us with direct and secure access to the registry for searching. The time for publication of the will is dramatically reduced. A certificate will now be issued within a few days. Very important, cases of doubtful authenticity of wills are reduced. handwritten wills remain in force. Anyone can write their will and keep it at home or file it at a notary. However, the requirements for the publication of handwritten wills change, especially when they are not filed at a notary. The changes are aimed at reducing the phenomenon of fake wills. Therefore, when a will is found at home or office of the deceased person, to be published as genuine, it must be verified by witnesses, expert witnesses, or any other means. This verification will be carried out by the notary and not by the court, as has been the case to date. Moreover, inheritance contracts are introduced for the first time. Up to now, someone can transfer his or her property to his or her relatives either by parental provision, donation, or by will. Under the new law, for as long as he or she lives, he or she can enter into a contract with his or her heirs, children, spouse, or other relatives and divide the property as agreed among them. In the inheritance contract, the so-called reserved share, namely the share that the law necessarily grants to children, spouses, or other relatives, will not apply. I give you an example. Parents can invite their children to enter into an inheritance contract according to which one child gets the business and the other gets property or cash, or that an estate, for example a vacation home, will be given directly to their granddaughter. The renunciation of will process is redefined. The reserved share succession is modernized to ensure fairer distribution. The new law is gradually adapted to the Greek legal reality. We certainly need time to adjust and trace its abnormalities, if any, in action. This will give us the opportunity to refer more than once in the critical issue of inheritance under the Greek law. Follow our next podcast and find out more.
Well, with my mum, back then, when every household had 2 phones and you could pick up the other extension, I was always nervous if I had a boy call me. And I'd say, hold on a minute. And I'd put the phone down and I'd run into the other room to make sure mum hadn't picked up the other phone to listen to the conversation.
But we could hear when someone's picking up the phone.
You could
We could hear
the... it was always like walking on eggshells to make sure I didn't get caught out doing something.
That's classic.
Classic mum.
That's classic mum.
But
don't forget, mums were the first ones discover the first drones, the padofla.
Oh, yeah.
My mom had she was such a good on
aim.
throwing padoflas. Like, was straight to the head. It was like sniper.
But then there's also, you're never fed enough. Like, five, you've got to eat. And then when you're eating, you'll come back and you'll visit a few days later and she'll look at me up and down. I go, what do you look? And I always feel self-conscious. I say to my sister, what is she looking at? And she'll say, Pakinas ligaki. And the minute she'd say that,
You
it
took
was
some
like,
weight.
my sister said, that's the invisible padofla that's just here you over
Yeah,
there.
yes, that's true. My mom, because she was born in 1940, actually the day that the Metaxa said the Ochi, 28th of October of 1940, that's how lucky she is. And they went through wars, poverty, starvation. They didn't have to eat in the village in Crete. So she was always very cautious to feed us to the level that we were vomiting.
Oh.
And she will keep feeding us.
Exactly.
And I said, after years, I said, Mom, look, you made me fat. No one in the family was fat, just me and my sister.
Yes.
And she goes, yeah, Nico, we starved. I didn't want that to happen to you. That's why I did it. And there was a connection always. When they doing something, there is a connection with their childhood trauma.
I used to think that of my mother till I became a mother, because I didn't live through that hardship of never having food on the table. Yeah, I was still the same. I had to make sure my kids had a full lunchbox. I would physically not be able to cope if they missed a meal. And even now when I go to their houses, I look in the fridge and I think, oh, there's not enough food. And I'll go and do the grocery shopping and I'll cook and I'll make sure that there's lots of food. And I'll give you an example. My son and his wife went away and I said, they went away for the weekend. And I said, message me when you get home. So my daughter-in-law messaged and said, hi, Christine, we're home. Andrew's just going to organise something for dinner. because her mum was there looking after the kids. And I said, hasn't your mum organised anything for dinner? She said, no. And I'm going,
Yes. And here comes, ladies and gentlemen, the mother-in-law. Here where we're changing subject from mother to mother-in-law.
mother-in-law.
To mother-in-law.
Yeah, here I am, the mother-in-law. And I said, so at this stage, I was ready because I said, I've just put a chicken and potatoes in the oven. I can be at your place in half an hour. And she said, relax, it's okay. And I said, but you've got no food. And I said, and there's probably no food in the fridge. And I was ready. And she said to me, I want to start an Instagram page or a TikTok and call it My Greek Mother-in-Law. I love my daughter-in-law's mother. I love her to death. She's the best. She's hilarious. We get on really well. But in that regard, whereas she's so laid back, I am the typical Greek mother-in-law.
I can imagine, Christine.
And I'm opening the cupboard and I say to her, don't you have this in your cupboard? She said, no. I go, how can you not have this in your cupboard?
Oh my God. Oh my God. You're this kind of the type of mother-in-law.
Well, yeah, but I think she loves me. I hope you love me.
So mothers, then they're becoming mother-in-law.
Yes.
So are they carrying on the same attitude when... Okay, look, it's different when you have a son and when you have a daughter.
Yep.
Most of the accidents happen when you have a son and someone's married your son. It kicks in and I don't know what's happening, but it's something like the brides are good enough under the eyes of the mother-in-law.
Look, she said to me when they were dating, Christine, my parents are concerned that you will want Andrew to find a nice Greek girl, because my daughter-in-law is Australian, and they're thinking, where's that going to leave me? And I said, darling, it doesn't leave you anywhere. I said, I love who you are and I love you for who you are, not for your background, because when you do marry Andrew, you're going to be Greek anyway. So you're going to have a Greek, you will be. And she's wonderful. My daughter-in-law's just embraced the Greek culture and she knows that I've got a Greek mother-in-law and I just have to deal with who she is.
Okay, and why you're better than the other one?
I'm not better. I'm just...
No, what? Yeah, come on now.
I'm not better.
You think that you're like...
No, I'm probably more of a nuisance, if the truth be told.
But that's the misconception that if you're Greek mother-in-law, you're better than your Anglo mother-in-law, which is not true. Because I like the laid-back style as well.
I try to be more like her.
Yes, because you have to be a bit laid back. Just give a space to the couple. Don't get involved.
I don't get involved.
No, I'm not talking about you. But I know mother-in-laws that are visiting every day. They want a key from the house. Just give me the key. I want to come in anytime.
Well, I've got a key.
You got a key. There you go.
I've got a key. But I think the worst type of mother-in-law is the one that doesn't want her to let go of her son. Like, this woman is taking away my son.
Coming up next, our segment with Lucas Theodoro from Helco Consulting, sharing practical tips, insights, and guidance for all your investment and business needs.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Greek Podyssey, where we discuss all things business in Greece and investment. So today we'll be talking about bank accounts. We've discovered thus far everything about the tax file number, setting it up, dual taxation, what implications can that have on me and my business income or personal income. And now the last important step of beginning any investment journey is setting up a bank account. So having a bank account, a local Greek bank account, is very important because that will mean that you'll be able to access all the government portals, pay and maintain anything like a property, pay your council rates, pay any bill, through the e-banking services that are connected to the government portal. And it is also really important to be able to have a Greek bank account, as it does make transfers and domestic payments a lot easier. The Greek system now is slowly starting to introduce things like accepting Revolut and accepting transfers from non-Greek bank accounts, let's say for buying a property, but there can be delays if large sums are coming over, and they can get blocked and audited if it's not a local bank account. And obviously an international bank account or a Revolut account does not have access to the Greek government systems to be able to pay your rates and things like that. So for all intensive purposes, we always say it's easier to open up a Greek bank account, and that way you'll have much easier access to the system through GovGR, but also through companies that have services through online banking, like telephone providers, energy providers, anything utility-based, many companies. It is really important that this is done correctly as a tax resident abroad, because most banks will ask for your foreign tax file number, your latest tax return or notice of assessment if you're from Australia, and basically where does your income source come from, because they want to know where the originating source of your money comes from for anti-money laundering laws and corruption laws as well. So it is really important to come prepared. Most banks will accept English documents as they're internationally recognized. You won't need to translate them or apostille them, but obviously that can be dependent on the bank as well. And you can do this through a Greek bank that has a representative office in another country, like for example, the National Bank of Greece has a representative office in Australia, and so on and so forth. Or you can do it via proxy with your lawyer, but the banks have very specific power of attorney instruction that they'll provide for the lawyer to be able to open up the bank account for you here. Alternatively, you can initially start with your foreign bank account, and slowly, once the investor comes to Greece, you can also do it in person here, which is a lot easier with someone like us to guide you and have you there at the bank branch on the day.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. My mum, I said to her, my son Savas has a girlfriend. He was in a relationship
Oh,
with
okay.
a girl.
Yeah.
And she goes to me, oh, really? I say, yeah, she's very pretty. Is she Greek? And I go, no. What is she? I said, is half Filipino, half Chinese. And she goes, that's all right, if they're happy. But she changed the mood like straight away. If she's not Greek, she's not one of our tribe, because this age of people, the generation, it was that thing, like you need to marry a good Greek girl. That was a thing back then. And if she wasn't Greek, then the trouble starts. We need to make her Greek.
Can I make a confession?
Wow. Yes.
I'm actually glad my daughter-in-law is not Greek. You know why? Because there can only be one Greek mother in the household.
Oh my God.
I'm thinking if I had a Greek daughter-in-law, it would mean I have a Greek sibathera. And sometimes that doesn't work out for the
You
best.
know what? You guys, you need to realize that you're not part of the household.
Yeah, but they just when we think we've gone, they draw us back in.
No, you put yourself back in. You try to sneak in. That's what all the mother-in-laws try to do.
You
The
know-
Greek, especially the Greek ones.
There's nothing I love more than when they call me asking me advice about the kids. I love it. I'm thinking now I'm being not only a real mother, but they actually listen to what I say. And that really makes me
You're
feel...
a mentor. You're a mentor.
It validates me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I
It's
understand
important.
that. I understand that. And it's part of the training, because we're there, here and there, to support our kids. And what Greeks do, they're always next. They're always available for help, for assistance, for advice, for financial support, if they can, of course.
I'll give you an example. When something breaks down, as they're telling me it's broken down, I'm on the internet looking to replace it. Greek mothers, we have this inner need to make sure that our kids don't want for anything, emotional, material, as much as we can provide it, sustenance, emotional support. It's just an inbuilt, innate behavior for us to be helicopter parents.
I know couples being destroyed by the mother-in-law. I
They're-
know couples that
Not
have
because
been
they're too
destroyed.
nurturing, because
And-
they're too interfering. There's a big difference.
Oh, well,
There's a big difference.
and that's a problem not of the mother-in-law, that's a problem the boy. Because usually it happens with the boys, not with the girls.
Because there's a lot of mothers that like to compete with their daughter-in-law. So they want the son to side with the mother. And the worst thing a mother-in-law can do is come between a couple, make them argue so she can feel satisfied that, look, my son is still my son. He's taking my side. I do the opposite. When I talk to my daughter-in-law, I say to her, why are you so nice? Why are you so accommodating? I still want him home at a certain time. So she's not home. And I said, I'm going to ring him up now and I'm going to tell him to come home if he's at a work function or something. She goes, no, don't do that. He works really hard.
How old is your son?
He's 34.
And you're going to call him to say to him, to come back home.
I'm the mother-in-law that always sides with her daughter-in-law. And I think when it's the reverse, that's when you have a problematic mother-in-law. The one that can't let go of her son and pits herself up against her daughter-in-law, wants to be the cook, the better, this, and gets some sort of sick satisfaction of knowing I got my son to side with me against his wife. That's when it becomes a problem. And there are a lot of those around.
I agree. I had the wooden spoon once thrown to me by my mom because my wife, she said in front of my mom, Nico, why you didn't pick up the rubbish from the balcony? And I said to her, come on now. And then the wooden spoon, it was like the drone 2.1, came straight to my head and said, don't you ever talk like that to your wife? I said, what I said? I said, okay, just
take out the rubbish.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's why. On the other hand, my mother-in-law, she's very laid back. She's young. She's not in the age of my mother. We have about 10 years difference. And we communicate really well. We're like friends.
You're in the same generation, pretty much.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And we talk to each other. I say, Anna. She says, Nico mu, Anna. That's how, not mama and all this. I don't like that. I like to have a personal connection with my mother-in-law, and I can call her anytime and start political conversations, and she's right on. Let's go. She's
You know what's changed, Nico? When I was first married, we called our mother and father-in-law mum and dad.
Yes. Still my wife calls my mom.
Yeah, no. My daughter-in-law calls me Christine, and I like it that way.
Oh, I love it.
Yes,
of course.
I like it.
It's not like the typical, why? It's not your mom. It's your mother-in-law. And she has a name. I like that. It's more
personal,
attractive to me.
When we look at mothers in ancient times, women weren't able to vote. They weren't able to compete in Olympic Games or do a lot of things in ancient Greece. But they wielded a lot of influence behind kings, behind characters in mythology. There was always that woman that wielded the influence.
Don't forget, here
yes, exactly.
was the first powerful woman, and then after that, all the goddess like Aphrodite, blah, blah. Back then, they had no rights, the same rights.
But a lot of influence. So that hasn't changed throughout millennium.
Still, they have the rights now.
Yes.
And that's a correct way to do it.
I remember my daughter when she was in year 8, and I'm thinking, she tells me, and I don't know whether I should laugh or feel really bad, when kids are at school, sometimes I want to skip a class.
Yeah.
And her girlfriend said, Amanda, let's skip the last 2 periods and we'll go to a movie. And Amanda said, no way, you don't know. My mother's Greek and my mother's had me microchipped, and I don't know how, but she will find out. And I don't want the consequences of that. Like, I was always foremost in her mind, what's a mother going to think? And which is exactly the same as what I was when I had my mum growing up.
We teach my son, whenever he wants to skip school, just to say it. I want to skip school. Yes, okay. You have this right not to go at school. What do you want to do? You want to stay home, or you want to do something to relax your brain from all this mess? And he kept it like that. He said, I don't want to go to school. You can stay here.
Yeah.
That's all right. But what makes the mother-in-law, the Greek mother-in-law, dangerous in a humoristic way?
How many mother-in-law jokes float around, and how many of us fit into that category of the mother-in-law joke?
Yes. Okay, let me rephrase. What makes a mother-in-law, the Greek mother-in-law, different than the others? Not only dangerous, different.
I think because they can't let go of their kids completely. That's a Greek thing.
It's not only a Greek thing. I think it's
a European,
all these Balkan, Mediterranean.
Italians are the same. Lebanese are the same.
Yeah.
And then I look at my friends, my Australian friends, it's almost like as soon as they were 18, that was it. Some of them had to pay rent. That for us was mortifying. Pay rent to live at home with your parents? Are you serious?
Yeah.
That would never, ever be even considered. Not only
it's
that.
It's gross, isn't it?
Well, it's just not in our culture. And I know a lot of them would put that money away for their kids and hopefully give it back to them.
Yeah.
But that's just not even a consideration for a Greek mother or mother-in-law.
My son says, can I move out? I want to move out. And I said to him, yeah, of course you can do it. Just take a pen and paper and calculate how much money you're going to spend during the year and then have a second thought about it. And if you want to do it, you can do it. But I'm telling you that this money that you're going to spend are money that you're going to save for your PhD in Europe, for example. So he had a second thought. I said, yeah, Dad, you're right. Now we were talking with my wife, and I said, today actually, I said, well, what do you think if Savas moved to Europe for his PhD and all that? What are we going to do? And she says, well, we'll follow. Maybe not like in the long term, we'll follow because we want to be close to him, not to control him. And I say, how you see our lives the years after? And she goes, it depends of him.
Yes.
So are our lives dependent from our kids? If you have your kids in Greece, you will be here or in Greece.
Look, I've often said my roots here because my kids are here. If they weren't here, I would live in Athens.
Yeah.
I've lived all my life in Australia. I would look at reconnecting to my Hellenic roots living in Greece. Australia is always going to be my country. I was born here, but I think I would live in Greece. It's my kids. We connected to our family unit with our kids.
But they're grown up.
I know.
They're grown up.
I know.
You guys, let's say that you have this scenario. Your kids are in Europe and you're in Australia. What are you doing? Are you moving to Europe or are you staying here in Australia or in America or in Canada? Or the opposite. If your kids staying here in Australia, in America or in Canada, are you moving back to Greece permanently? Can you do that? I think there is a thin line that you can follow. I don't like too much to be dependent on how our kids' life will go. Of course, I support and I'm next to my kids, no matter what. That's not a question. But again, at the same time, there is a part of your life that you need to be separated and to have a bit of your
important?
time, your schedule, your...
What's important, Nico, is that we as individuals continue to evolve and have our own lives and our own interests. We have an independent life that is not dependent on our kids. I find that parents, people our age that are choking their kids, they don't have anything else. They've reached a stage in their life, have no other interests. They don't get involved in a greater community. They don't keep evolving. They don't keep trying new things. They don't keep moving out of their comfort zone to think, what can I do? This is my time now. So what they do is become fixated on their kids. They tend to choke their kids' lives. And I think that's when you have problems, both for the parents that can't let go and for the couple that can't breathe.
This is the joke. They say that Jesus was Greek because he stayed with his mom till he's 30. He calling her Panagia.
Yes, no, I actually read something the other day that said Jesus spoke Greek. So it possibly was.
I don't know.
Spoke
Well,
Greek.
all these stories, I don't know where the source is coming
from.
from.
We'll talk about that because we are going to have a Christmas episode.
And 100%.
Absolutely.
So for me, you see now we went to family.
Yes.
We extended the conversation to the Greek family, how the parents support or what's their attitude when it comes to their kids.
I'll give you my example growing up because I grew up here. So I had Australian friends. And when I was young, I used to want their lives. I used to like the freedom. They had a lot of freedom. They could go out freely. They could move out of home. Their parents went on their back. And I used to want that. Now, though, that as I became a parent and growing up when I appreciated my memories of my childhood so much more. And I look back with fondness. I don't envy that. I'm glad that I am who I am and, how I am, because that closeness of being involved, it's been good for me and it's been good for them. And they know that they've always got their mum when they want. When I ring my daughter, her husband says, it's your best friend on the phone. That for me, there's no better feeling than knowing I'm my daughter's best friend without crossing that line.
Yes.
Where my son-in-law says, oh, there's that pain in the neck calling again. Hurry up and get her off the phone, change the locks.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And that's beautiful. My son says to me, like, Dad, let's go for a beer, for example. And I feel like he's got this friendship connection with me as well. But Greek families and in general families with strong cultural connection, they're the same. They have the same values. that the family is very important, how to raise the kids, how to support them. Because all my life after my son's birth, it's about him. I don't know if it's good or bad, because you're living on side things of yourself that you should do and all that. But at the same time, for me, that's a purpose. That's why I'm waking up every morning to go to work, because I've got a family. And the family is not just the couple, it's the kids
Don't
as
you
well.
think, though, that that is important to keep our culture alive, our Greekness? Because without that, like the gathering together when it's Easter and all the kids get involved and you're passing this on to the next generation, all the kids mightn't speak Greek, but they're feeling their Greekness. And then that's what makes them then want to learn Greek and immerse themselves, because they like that feeling that this has a purpose.
I think family is a very strong component of culture and identity. And you're very right.
And it doesn't have to be families where mum and dad are still there. It could be blended families. It could be, as long as you have this foundation where you come together, you do things together, and you're subliminally, because as a mother, you're also an emotional wizard. So you're subliminally sending out these messages and they're absorbing it without even realizing they're absorbing it.
100%. 100%.
So you don't have to say to them, I want you to be Greek. You're doing all the Greek things and you're subliminally preserving your culture and passing it on to the next generation. It's a very clever trait to have.
But it's not happening on purpose.
No, it happens because it's instinctive.
Exactly. And then the mother and the mother-in-law becoming a grandmother.
You know what
can
they
shine
say.
now.
There's one of my favorite sayings in Greece, the child of my child is twice my child. So that's when things really crank up. And that's why I'm also glad I don't have a Greek sympathetic. You know, when you get two Greek mothers and you've got the grandkids, it's like a bit of a tug of war.
Come on, man. Why are you saying that?
Because I've seen it happen.
Yeah, but it's not a rule. It's not like...
No. Let me tell you something. Women carry all their eggs and their daughter's eggs. So they've got this connection with their daughter. So when the daughter has a child, they feel like it's their maternal right to own that child at the expense of the son's mother. And I've seen it happen a lot. So there is that tug of war where the mother comes in and the mother of the daughter takes the child as though, well, it's my daughter's child. And then the poor mother of the son always feels a little bit pushed
It's another
to the corner.
thing. You're right. The mothers of the daughters are having more responsibility or are taking more action than the boys' mothers. Why is this happening?
They see it as their right. My daughter gave birth to that child. Yeah, my son, your daughter wouldn't have given birth to this child if my son wasn't around.
What?
And I've seen so many instances where that becomes a problem.
Okay, that's when you realize that you need to be a bit laid back.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it gets messy with all the... But if the purpose is to assist and to help, why this is a problem?
Because competitiveness comes into play and human nature. And that's never going to change.
Yeah, that's...
And Greek women are predominantly dominant and controlling. And it's really hard for them to be able to have the foresight and the instinct to think, oh, I've got to pull back a little bit and give the respect that is owing to her as the mother of the son and the other grandmother.
We would love to hear funny stories for your mother-in-laws. Please, if you have any funny stories to share,
yes,
that would be lovely.
If anything we've said resonates with you, please share.
That would be lovely. Because there are many funny stories out there.
Look, it's an endless pit. And we will get some young girls on the podcast so they can tell us their experience, particularly girls that aren't Greek, what it's like to be thrown into a Greek family. Thrown into a Greek family. The loudness, the sometimes when I talk to my son, my daughter-in-law says, why are you yelling at each other? And I look at her, I go, we're just talking. We're not yelling.
Standard. That's standard.
Yeah.
I know. No, people knocking at our door saying, "Look, you guys are right. Why are you fighting?" No, we don't fight.
We're just talking.
We're just talking politics.
Yeah, exactly. Or just anything really. So, it's an endless subject. There's so many stories. Why aren't there as many stories about fathers, though? You know why? Because the mother is
Be
the
careful.
centrifugal force within the family. And the father is made to feel like he's the boss of the household or he's the chief of the household. But we
Fathers.
all know who really is.
I think fathers are the laborers of the house. The administration is the mothers. Administration.
When I was working in marketing with an airline, statistics show that the key decision maker when it comes to purchases is the mother. That's why a lot of commercials and campaigns is focused on the decision maker, which is the woman.
Yeah, because of financial budgeting and all the...
Well, it's like whatever.
everything.
You want to buy a lounge, you're going to ask the woman of the house. You buy a car, you're going to take your wife along and you're going to say, what do you think of this car, darling? Does this appeal to you? So when you're putting a menu together, food, it's like, oh, this is the menu I'm going to put together for Christmas. So, I'm in that situation now. We're having Christmas at my daughter-in-law's house. And I'm really struggling because the kids want to put together their own menu. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do the cooking and I'm going to do the menu. That's just me.
Oh my God.
Think about it. When you go on a holiday,
You're hilarious, you know that.
Who decides usually where the holiday is going to be? It's the mother.
What? Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm in the wrong family
The women
then.
decide.
No,
Sometimes,
no.
Oh, whatever my wife decides or whatever. And
No,
marketers
no,
and
no.
advertisers pick up on that. So they're the target audience.
Nah. Yeah, okay. That's funny. I think it's a common decision. You can't say that my mother said.
Look, she influences it and she'll know how to influence to get the outcome that she wants.
I'll tell you a story now. I was begging my wife, I'm still begging my wife for 3 ceiling fans.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, we're going to do it. I said, come on, the summer is coming. The air conditioning is not enough for all the apartment. At least can we put some cheap ceiling fans? And she goes, yeah. Oh, don't worry, we're going to sort it out. I said, okay. Because financial, she's the chief. I have no idea what's happening. My money goes there. They're disappearing. I have a budget, a weekly budget. That's my budget. I don't have an account, like my own account. It's a share account with my wife.
You just proved my point. Proved my point.
Wait. I say, yeah, okay. Sava, let's go to IKEA. I want to buy a few things like Christmas decoration and all that. And she comes back with a rag, with a carpet. And I say, what's that? I say, it's a carpet. I don't like this one. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to put a new one. I said, what about the fans? We'll do it. Don't worry about it. And
You just proved my point. Women are the ones that make the purchase decisions in the house.
No, women, they're handling all the budget. That's what it is about, not about decisions. Because if she asked me to change it, I wouldn't say no. But she's got the power. No one's going to say anything to her. So she went there. She came back with a carpet. And that's everything is fine.
Darling,
and I'm still begging for the ceiling fans.
When you control the purse, you control everything.
Yeah. And I'm happy that my wife's controlling the financial of the house because she's a good manager. She's doing a great job.
What sort of mother-in-law do you think she'll be?
She's
Great.
pretty. She's progressive.
Yeah, she is. I think
she will be okay.
I've said what I feel and my kids may agree or say, what sort of garbage were you saying, Mum? You're just...
We would love to have a feedback from your daughter-in-law and kids and your kids about...
yeah.
And
what it was like growing up with me as a mother.
Yes.
And
please,
kids.
Jade and Jason, comment on this video. We would love to hear your story. How does it feel to have Christine as a mother-in-law?
Yeah.
Thank you, Christine. We can talk for hours for that.
For hours.
Yeah, we can talk for hours for that.
The main thing, Nico, is to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
So, I love it when the kids can take the mickey out of me.
Yeah.
They do it all the time. And I can laugh about it.
Yes.
I never get offended.
For me, as a son-in-law, the most important thing is to feel confident, to open up to my mother-in-law and to talk about serious things, not to being criticized, but to express my thoughts and my concerns. And that's happening. It's feel very okay to do that.
Communicate.
It is very important.
Actually, that really sums up absolutely everything. Communication.
Correct.
Your kids need to be able to communicate with you how they're feeling openly without you getting upset. And then you also need to be able to communicate your feelings and also be mindful that I've got to stay. I don't want to be the butt of a mother-in-law joke.
Yes. Correct.
Anyway,
thank you everyone for being with us for another episode. It's been a pleasure to entertain you if we did so.
Thank you to everybody that follows us. Please, share our videos. Recommend us to your friends. The bigger our audience, the more we can reach. And to everyone around the world, America, Canada, follow us and follow our YouTube and our Spotify where you can see the entire.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Φιλιά, bye.
I'm Christine Stavropoulos,
Κι εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της Ομογένειας.
a podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs, and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.